This is the solution to number 15 from the Chapter P review, and we're asked to simplify some rational expressions. So the first thing that we'd like to do when we're simplifying rational expressions is we're going to factor the numerators and the denominators. So I'm going to try to factor this first quadratic, 2x squared plus 7x minus 15. I can factor this, I'll do it over here. Let's see, the AC method would be 2 times negative 15 is negative 30. So I'm looking for two numbers that multiply to negative 30 and add to this middle term, 7x. So numbers that multiply to negative 30 but add to positive 7 would be 10x and 3x. And I'll do negative 3x. So I can rewrite this as 2x squared plus 10x minus 3x minus 15 divided by, I can factor x squared minus 25. That's a difference of squares. So that'll factor as x plus 5 times x minus 5. Now instead of division, I'm going to change that to multiplication, and I'm going to take the reciprocal of the second fraction. And as I rewrite this fraction, I'm going to put each one of these polynomials in standard form. So I'm going to write it as negative 4x squared plus 21x minus 5 and negative 6x plus 9. Remember, in standard form, it's going to be in descending powers of exponents. Now I'm going to continue factoring. I'm going to look at this quadratic that we rewrote, splitting the middle term. And I'm going to group the first two and the second two terms. So I'm going to take the greatest common factor out from 2x squared plus 10x. That'll be 2x. And that will leave me with x plus 5. From the second two terms, I'm going to factor out a negative 3. That'll leave us with x plus 5. And I'm going to just copy down the denominator. And then I have times. I'm going to factor out a negative 1 from the numerator because I don't like to have the negative leading coefficient when I factor. So that will be negative. It'll be the opposite of the quantity 4x squared. Then that will become minus 21x plus 5. And in the denominator, I'm also going to factor out the greatest common factor here. I can take out, let's say, a negative 3. That will leave me with 2x minus 3. And I can always check that by distributing the negative 3 back in. I'm going to continue on factoring the quadratic that we were working out. The greatest common factor between 2x times the quantity x plus 5 and minus 3 and the quantity x plus 5 is x plus 5. So we can factor this quadratic as x plus 5 times 2x minus 3 over x plus 5 times the quantity x minus 5 times, we still have a quadratic factor to factor in the numerator. So I could do AC method again. I'd have 4 times 5 is 20. And then I need two numbers that multiply to 20 and add to negative 21. And let's see what numbers I'm going to get for that. So those two numbers are going to be negative 20 and negative 1. So I'm going to split the 21x. So we're going to write this as negative. I'm going to write 4x squared minus 20x minus 1x plus 5 all over negative 3 times 2x minus 3. We're going to keep factoring now. So I'm going to copy down this first fraction. So I'm going to have, let me get the pen, x plus 5 times 2x minus 3 divided by x plus 5 times x minus 5. And then this numerator, I'm going to have the negative. I'm going to factor the first two terms. So I'm going to pull out a 4x. That will leave me with x minus 5. The second two terms, all that I can factor out is a negative 1. So I'm going to take out a negative. That will leave us with x minus 5. And the denominator still is negative 3 times 2x minus 3. We're almost there on our factoring. I'm going to keep going. So I copy the first fraction, x plus 5 times 2x minus 3, divided by x plus 5 times x minus 5. I can cancel out a negative here. Why don't I go ahead and do that? I can cancel out this negative with that negative. And then the numerator, have a common factor of x minus 1. So the numerator factors as 4x minus 1 times x minus 5 over 3 times 2x minus 3. And now I'm going to look and I'm going to cancel out any common factors from the numerators to the denominator. So I can factor out an x plus 5, 2x minus 3, and an x minus 5. So that leaves us with 4x minus 1 over 3. And then we need to exclude values from factors that will make factors that we cancel out 0. So we have to say x is not equal to negative 5 because we canceled out the x plus 5 factor. We also canceled out x minus 5, so x is not equal to 5. And then I canceled out 2x minus 3. So the value, if I solve 2x minus 3 is not equal to 0, I'll get x is not equal to 3/2. So I do need to list all of those values that are excluded from my simplified expression. And we also need to exclude 1/4. And the reason we need to exclude 1/4 is from this 4x minus 1. Even though now 4x minus 1 is in the numerator, if we solve for the value that makes this equal to 0, we get 4x is not equal to 1, we get x is not equal to 1/4. The reason we need to exclude that is as a result of the division, 4x minus 1 came into the numerator, but that factor used to be in the denominator. If we scroll back to the very beginning, that 4x minus 1 came from this factor, the negative 4x squared plus 21x minus 5. This factor here has the factor 4x minus 1 in a denominator. So even though after the division it's part of the numerator, we need to also exclude it from our list of values.